where Will County comes to talk. The Kevin Kollins Show on 1340 WJOL.
This is what you need. If you want me, this is what you need. This is what you need. If you want me,
1340 WJOL. It is the Kevin Kollins Show. It's 5:11. What do you need to know? We do this every afternoon about 5:10. Talk about some of the big stories today. Fun stories, any story at all. Just stuff we think you might need to know about so you can have a little thinking to ponder on your drive home. Evan, what is it that we need to know?
Former Pennsylvania Senator Rick Santorum says he's officially in the running for the Republican presidential nomination in 2016. He spoke at an event today near his childhood home in Cabot, Pennsylvania.
I am proud to stand here among you and for you, the American workers who have sacrificed so much, to announce that I am running for President of the United States.
Santorum joins a quickly widening GOP field that already includes 6 declared candidates and could grow to encompass around a dozen more. Several contenders are expected to give him tough competition this time around for the Christian conservative vote he relied on in 2012. His experience in that 2012 primary could prove helpful, as the last 2 Republican nominees, Mitt Romney and John McCain, did not clinch the ticket until their second try. Santorum finished second to Romney in that 2012 GOP primary field.
I think I'm wrong here, but it sure seems like there's a lot of people in the running. But I guess if you think, but there's probably always that many, 6, 7, 8 people that are in the running. But boy, it seems like there's a lot. And we do, we've got the 2 now for Democrats and 7 now the field's up to the Republicans. And there's probably going to be more that are throw their hat in the ring for that. So it's going to be a heated next, what do we got? 7 months or so before we finally get to the first primaries and caucuses?
Well, I'm going to veto the bill the legislature passed. They are way out of touch with Nebraskans. The overwhelming majority of the people I talk with support the death penalty because they understand that it's an important tool for public safety, that, for instance, our prosecutors use it to get stronger sentences, to keep people behind bars. And so I'm going to continue to call senators and work with them to see if I can get them around to my point of view on this and the point of view of Nebraskans all across this state, that they should sustain my veto when I issue that veto.
That was Nebraska Governor Pete Ricketts back on May 21st, announcing he was going to veto legislation passed by the legislature in the state of Nebraska repealing the death penalty, and that veto has been overridden. It happened earlier today by a vote of 30-19. They overrode the veto of Republican Governor Pete Ricketts. 1 week earlier, lawmakers voted 32-15 to pass LB 268, which would replace the death penalty with life without parole as the state's highest penalty. The number of death penalty states in the U.S. stands at 31 following Nebraska's repeal. And
I believe 30 was the exact number they needed to do that override. So another state chalking off the death penalty off its list.
The Justice Department is socking FIFA, the world governing body of organized soccer.
We are here to announce the unsealing of charges and the arrest of individuals as part of our long-running investigation into bribery and corruption in the world of organized soccer.
Attorney General Loretta Lynch says more than a dozen FIFA officials are being charged in a massive corruption case. The charges include fraud, racketeering, and money laundering. Lynch told a news briefing that she is committed to rooting out corruption in world soccer. Several of the FIFA officials were rounded up in a posh hotel in Switzerland. The Attorney General noted that the U.S. will start extradition proceedings promptly. Acting U.S. Attorney Kelly Currie from the Eastern District of New York says the suspects were involved in sports marketing schemes and were motivated by greed.
Now, I don't follow soccer nearly as close as you do, but I do World Cup. I get a little excited. And we talked quite a bit about soccer last year. It was last year was the World Cup. And I think, Evan, you mentioned this has not been a secret in soccer. It seems like everybody's known for a long time that it is the dirtiest, most corrupt organization that's running it. I mean, this is widely known?
Oh, it's well known, in fact, that FIFA is extremely corrupt and that they force anyone to bend to their will. Otherwise, one of the more famous stories is in Brazil. Brazil, due to soccer hooliganism, banned the sale of alcohol at soccer games. Seems like a good idea. You have a problem with violence, ban alcohol. FIFA told them that as FIFA, they override any federal laws that the country has passed, and they'll be selling alcohol at the World Cup when it took place in Rio. And they went, well, no, we passed a federal law, and they actually threatened to cancel the event from going to Brazil unless Brazil allowed them to sell alcohol, because Budweiser is a huge sponsor.
I assume that probably allegedly might have been some under-the-table dealings with the alcohol provider.
John Oliver, who's now was on The Daily Show, now on HBO, does a show called Last Week Tonight. He did a wonderful 20-minute monologue about the corruption within FIFA. It's absolutely terrible, Kevin. They're thinking that this allegation, which this corruption scandal has to do with the 2022 World Cup, which the small nation of Qatar ended up getting. Many people were stunned that Qatar ended up getting the World Cup, especially given the fact it can get as hot as 120 degrees during the summer when they were actually going to be playing, and that the United States, which had made a bid that Bill Clinton helped lobby for, ended up losing. Well, it turns out that $150 million may have been funneled into FIFA's pockets in order to make the World Cup happen in Qatar. And also on top of all this is the shocking human rights abuses that are taking place in that country right now, dealing with workers dying every single day as they construct these stadiums. They're not allowed to take bathroom breaks. They're not allowed to visit their families. They're paid very, very little, and it's a huge human rights issue that FIFA has ignored. There's also a big issue going on right now with the maker of their soccer balls, I believe, and having to do with the fact that it was individuals from Nepal who were making this equipment for FIFA, and after the Nepalese earthquakes took place, they were told they could not go home and check on their families because they had a job to do.
Now, you said, I didn't realize this, that this $150 million alleged kickbacks and bribes is just from one upcoming World Cup. This isn't back going through the history. This is just based around the 2022 World Cup. So
right.
We could very easily see far more investigations, far more. They did say that this has been going on for generations. In generations in the FIFA. Now, the interesting thing, from what my understanding, they did not arrest the president, Sepp Blatter, of FIFA.
They're coming for him.
Yeah. I mean, interesting, but wow, the corruption that took place there, and we had heard that for quite some time. And every 2 years is that World Cup?
4.
Oh, it is every 4?
It's every 4 years. I want to clear something up. It was after the earthquake on the 25th of April, the Nepalese government asked all companies in Qatar to give their Nepalese workers special leave and pay their airfare home so they could visit their loved ones after the horrible earthquakes that took place there. While workers in some sectors of the economy have been given this, those on the World Cup construction sites, it had nothing to do with the soccer balls, it was the construction sites. They're not being allowed to leave home of the pressure of completing the project on time.
All right, that is what you need to know. Disturbing stuff.
We think the NFL's back.
Yeah. Welcome to FIFA. 5:19, this is the Kevin Kollins Show on 1340 WJOL.